Hi, this is Steve from the Seaside Allotment channel, and today it's the full reveal of my wife's plot. So Debbie got this plot 3 months ago maybe, and she's been working really hard on it. I've done a lot of work, and my objective to this plot has been low maintenance, and hers is to create some sort of kitchen garden feel. And I think we've achieved both of the objectives, so I'm going to show you around. So this is an overview, and I think it looks really lovely what she's done. There's actually quite a lot of planting space, but we've also focused on creating lots of different zones, and really focused on weed control, because there's any regular listeners will know this plot was a real mess, and when we got it we've probably taken about 30 bags of rubbish off it, and just huge amounts of weeds and rubble. And the weeds were the worst sort: couch grass, mare's tail, bindweed, as well as lots of annual weeds as well. Anyway, let's get inside and have a look round. So the first thing to note is these paths that she's put in. Crazy paving paths using rubble that she found on the plot, and then in all the gaps she's put grass seed, and we just trim the grass, and over time, not all of them have been done yet, but over time the grass grows and binds together the paving, making it really stable, and it's pretty easy to look after as well. So the first area is the flower border that she's putting down here. She's repaired this fence, and she's done a lot of work on this path as well. And then she's created this orchard area, and she's going to train the trees to these wires. And so she's got some quite, little immature apple tree, cherry tree, and another apple tree, and she's also going to have a go at training gooseberries and raspberries and things like that on these frames, so she hasn't put them all in yet. And then she's got a plum tree, which is unfortunately a bit sickly this year, lots of fungal kind of disease and the like. And she's got an apple tree that was already here. She's just started training that. Still got quite a lot of work to do on it. There's another apple tree which is not ideally suited to training. It's already grown a bit wild, so that might end up being replaced by something more suitable. And then this is the first of the kind of ornamental kitchen garden style beds, and we've got a couple of celery in there. A nice lettuce in the centre, a few onions around the outside, a few flowers kind of peeking out from under there, and then this wonderful stuff, New Zealand spinach. And I put my container because I'm going to be picking a load of that today. It is gorgeous. Debbie likes it cooked. I like it just fresh in salads. It is so crunchy. Yeah, I really love it. And you can kind of see, hopefully, that these leaves are quite a succulent leaf, and this is a summer plant. It thrives in the summer heat, unlike ordinary spinach, which bolts. This doesn't bolt, and it just grows wild. So I'm really excited for this, because one of the issues we've had, we love spinach, but it's just not a great summer plant, so we needed something for summer, and it looks like we have found it. Mare's tail everywhere. Right, so we've got some climbing French beans here. This frame's probably not really tall enough for those, but we pinched them out. It looks nice. It's in keeping with the scale of the bed. We've got pots of cauliflower in the centre there, and then we've got our sweet corn, which is already coming on nicely. Yeah, you can definitely feel the sweet corns in there. We planted it quite late, but it's maturing nicely, so it must be something to do with the variety. And we've got some sunflowers here as well, which are doing well. And then we've got some dwarf French beans around this one. And then from these frames, Debbie's going to hang scarecrows. From there, another little scarecrow. We have a scarecrow competition on the site, so that's part of her contribution to that competition. And then we've got some more cauliflowers in here, and then we've got some ochre. We've had a really cold spell over the last few weeks, and this ochre, being a desert plant really, is not doing well. This one looks like it's rotting down here. That one looks okay, and the others look okay, but not very strong. More mare's tail. No matter what you do, really, you can't stop the mare's tail. You just have to keep picking it. But this mulch helps a bit. I've popped in a bed down the side here, and here we've got beans that we're just growing these for drying. So almost all the beans that we've got on the other two plots are runner beans and French beans, climbing French beans. And obviously we're going to eat those, a lot of them fresh, and going to freeze some this year. But these we're just going to grow for drying. Now obviously we planted them really late, but that just comes down to when we could get this plot ready for planting. We'll see how they do. And then we've got some black currants and red currants, and these were pruned hard this year because they were a bit of a mess, so they're not really cropped particularly strongly this year, but next year they should go pretty wild. And we are going to put a run of bushes down the centre here as well. And now we've got a pear tree here, and we're not sure of the variety, but it does look something like a Williams, which is fantastic news since that's our favourite pear. And we're actually going to have a run down here of trees as well. We're not sure what we're going to plant there yet. And then we've got this really long bed, and down the far edge here we're going to plant some blackberries, and they're going to grow along on a support frame that's going to run along the back here, pretty much where that piece of string is. And then in this bed here, which Debbie just finished yesterday, we're going to probably put something like sprouts and cabbages along that run. And a little tiny bed here, and then we've got 4 rhubarbs. This one we just found on the plot, and these other 3 are apparently 10-month. I'm not sure of the variety, but they're a 10-month rhubarb. So they start in February, and you can crop them through to November, I guess. And then she's built a little bench here, a potting bench and saw bench, and general useful bench, and then a little storage area here around the back of the shed. And then she's built this little trellis here, mainly, she says, so she doesn't turn around and fall over the bed that she's created there. So she thinks that was a trip hazard, and now it's not a trip hazard. So that is pretty much it, really. It's a really lovely space now, really low maintenance, and lots of planting areas, lots of variety, mainly focused on fruit, but with plenty of other little bits and pieces as well, just to make it interesting. So Debbie leaves work in a couple of weeks' time, and so she's kind of joining me. Well, I'm retired, she's kind of semi-retiring, and so we really wanted to give her her own space so we weren't falling over each other, and she's got an allotment to work for herself, and you know, that complements mine, you know, which is all about productivity really, you know, 365 days a year, self-sufficiency, growing space, and I say this is more of a blend of an ornamental kitchen garden and a bit of a fruit orchard. So yeah, I am absolutely delighted, and she's even more over the moon with it. If you had seen it when we started, you would just be amazed at the transformation. Definitely something to be proud of. I'm absolutely brimming with pride for what she's managed to achieve. It's all her own design, nothing like what I would have done if it had been left to me, so that's particularly gratifying. Okay, well, I'm going to go and do a bit of cropping now and maybe show you what I get done in a few minutes time. This is the first crop of the day, the dwarf French beans, and they're in this little hoot tunnel, and we've been cropping these beans for well over a month now, and every day we get a decent crop, and of course it just keeps getting better. And I'm going to be replacing these beans soon because we'll be switching over to the outdoor beans, and then a new batch of beans will go in this bed, which hopefully will crop until well after the last frost, if we can keep them alive in this little hoop tunnel. And then once they eventually come out, sort of November time, this will get planted up with some early salads, spinach and the like, for next year. But I'll have to wait for another day for me to go into all of that and how I garden 365 days of the year. Anyway, there's today's crop. Not too shabby, and we eat pretty much everything that we pick fresh, and there's way too much there for us, so some of that will go into a mix that we swap for eggs, and some of it will go to one of our neighbours, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. So the next thing we're picking is kale. Now this is a tiny little kale bed that I have on my plot. Main brassica beds are on Jenny's plot, but still plenty here, and you need to keep picking it, and the more you pick it, the stronger it seems the plant is come winter time. So there we go, we have been picking. So the next thing we're picking is real spinach, and you can see this bed is going to seed, but actually these rosettes are just fantastic, and we pick the whole rosettes. I'll show you that. There we go, there's all the rosettes, and they're really gorgeous, and of course you can pick the larger leaves as well, but if you pick the rosettes, it just throws up new ones within a few days, and it just holds off the bolting of the plant, so you get a lot more crop even into summer. Last year I didn't do this, and so basically everything bolted much quicker. So the next crop is the spring onions, and we've got a pretty nice crop in this bed. We've got another couple of beds with spring onions in as well. We have unfortunately had about 1 in 10 of these bulbs with onion rot, which is a bit of a shame, but 1 in 10 is a level of wastage that we can live with, and we'll have to look at how we can prevent that next year. That's the great thing about gardening, always opportunities to learn. So I'll get on and start picking. So I've just been cleaning the onions at the tap, and when I actually renovated this little tap area, which is just next to Debbie's plot, I built these shelves just so it's easy to clean everything up. So that's the wastage, and most of that is onion fly, I think. Little maggots squirming around in some of those, and that's the good bunch, so I'm pretty happy with that. Next up's the carrots, and this is my summer carrot bed, and it is netted, as you can see, but the netting isn't perfect, so we do still get a bit of fly in some of these, but I'll get on to cropping these and we'll see how we do. So I'm back washing, and just a tiny little bit of damage on a couple of them, and maybe there you can just see, but nothing to worry about. I think all of those are perfectly eatable. So next on the list is chard, and this is the best chard bed that I've got, so I think I should be picking from here, and we've got some nice beets coming along there as well. Anyway, on with the chard. So this is my sweet potato bed, and it's in another one of these little hoop tunnels, and it's gradually taking over these few areas where I've got lettuce, so I should be taking a few of these lettuces out, I think. So I just popped down to Jenny's plot, because this is where the main broccoli beds are, and there's the broccoli crop for today. And Jenny's plot is also where the third succession sowing of broad beans is, so we'll pick a few of these because I like them when they're really young and tender, and well, there's a fair crop on here, and that should be enough for today, I think, because we only pick what we're going to eat in the next couple of days. There we go, all picked and ready to go home to get sorted out, and yeah, this is 2 layers thick, so there's quite a substantial crop in there. So I'm back home in the kitchen garden, and now it's time to pick some beetroot. I've got some bold hardy and some bull's blood, and we've got some golden beets as well, so I'll be getting a selection of those, and then maybe some fruit from the fruit garden. Okay, so I'm back home. So this is an overview of the crop. So I've got a few potatoes, some onions, globe artichoke, courgettes, mixed berries. Oh, these are fantastic. Golden beetroot and just ordinary beetroot in there. Lots of salads for us and the neighbours. Spring onions, spinach, New Zealand spinach, spinach florets, kale and broccoli, and lots of carrots and broad beans and French beans and the like. So there we go. That's a nice overview of today's crop, and it's Monday, and this is always our biggest daily crop, although it's slightly smaller than it would normally be because one of our neighbours is coming to the allotment tomorrow, and they're doing a family pick your own day, so that should be fun, them and their 4 kids. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, give you a good idea of what our allotment life is like, and give us a thumbs up, share, comment, we love comments, and I'll see you next time. And actually next time will be another tour, and it's going to be a tour of the kitchen garden.